What's going on, guys? Nate Dogg here, bringing you my build for the Elder Scrolls Online Dragonhold patch, the Guardian of Light. Before we get into this build, if you guys would, please come follow me on Mixer, subscribe to my YouTube channel, or donate to my channel. All the support is most welcome. So, just letting you all know, those who have watched my video on YouTube, this is the Cleric build, but I changed it to the Guardian of Light, and I've changed what weapon we are using in it. The reason I changed the name, because the Cleric seemed more of, well, doing a little bit more digging and research. Cleric more seems more of a priestly type of thing, so I will be using that for my healer, pretty much for a light armor build, most likely. So since this being a heavy armor build, I thought the Guardian of Light was a better name for it. So, same build as the Cleric, just a little different. Like I said, I'm going to talk more about it, but so, without further ado, let's dive into this build. So, attributes. My max magicka is sitting at 24k. Max stamina is sitting at 24k also. Max health is sitting at 39k. These are all buffed up, so just letting you all know. On my front bar, magicka and stamina recovery is sitting at 1100, while health recovery is at 800. Spell damage is at 1300, weapon damage at 1500, and spell and weapon critical is roughly sitting about the same at about 20%. Spell critical a little bit lower, as you can see. Spell resistance is at 26k, almost 27k. Physical resistance is at 23, almost 24k. Now, weapon buffing on the front bar, my weapon damage goes up to 1700. And on the back bar, it is at 1900. I'll wait for the duration on my screen to go away, so that way you can look at how much it goes on the back bar. It goes down to 1600. So, now fully buffing up my guy. And we'll go back on the front bar. Spell resistance is at 34k, physical resistance at 31k, almost 32k, so pretty close to cap. Magicka and stamina recovery all stay the same. So, attributes, I put 30 points into magicka. Reason doing so is because I have magicka abilities on my bar. The class, or I should say the race I'm going with, does not have any attributes in magicka or magicka recovery, so therefore I put points into magicka to help sustain in that category a lot easier. Then I put 34 points into health because I thought where my max health is sitting with a food buff on is a very good hit point for this tank, and figured instead of wasting resources in putting it into stamina and more points into magicka, that I was sitting well with a tank. And besides a tank, you really need to have the health behind it. Active effects I have on, like I said, I have increased my foods, which increase all of my primary stats, both all health, magicka, and stamina, both all roughly the 4k to 300, 3500k, whatever. I got the Tower Boon, which increases max stamina to 2700, and the Lord Boon that increases max health to 3000. The reason I can have two boons is because it's one of the sets I am currently wearing. Like I said, on this front bar, I got one of my abilities gives me recovery 10% in stamina, health, and magicka. If we go to my other back bar, our recovery is actually, we don't get any recovery, and then our recovery is actually lessened down to, instead of 1100, we are down to 1000. So, items that I'm running. The food, right now I am using the Crown Fortified Meal. The only reason I'm using this is because you log into Elder Scrolls Online, you get dailies, and use this majority of the dailies. If you don't have dailies or can't, and you are at champion point 160 or above, then I would recommend going with the long fin pastry with melon sauce. It basically does the same thing and has the same amount of points. Max health at 4,400. This one max health 4,400, so they're the same thing. For potions, I'm using a tri-stat potion basically, but these are crafted so they don't say that. So it restores 8k health immediately and increases health recovery by 20%. Restores 7k magicka, 7k stamina, and also with the recovery bonuses on top of it. So our recovery goes a lot higher than what it was. Which we can go back into at 1100. Pop the potion. It's now at 1,200, almost 1,300. So on our front bar, our sword and board, we have Sword of the Willow's Path. I'm using the Willow's Path set. This one we decided to reduce the target's physical and spell resistance, help us, our DPSs in dungeons, take them out a lot easier, and then increase our physical and spell resistance on this, because the sword and board is more of our tanking side of things. This path, the Willow's Path, give us magicka, stamina, and health recovery up to 127 points, and the fifth item increases health, magicka, and stamina recovery by 15%. For the shield, we also have the same set. I decided to add max health to it just to max out our health a little higher. We went divine traits. Reason for is divines helps our Mundus Stone, which is with a boon. So by having divines, we are actually increasing how much our boon stone is actually due to us, which was the Lord in the tower giving us more stamina and health. So back bar, our two-handed sword. This is also part of the same set. We went absorb stamina just to help us out a little bit in the recovery phases of things. So we deal physical damage and restore 354 stamina. I went with the power enchantment, increasing healing done by 9%. I felt like just having something a little bit to heal up, because we are, one of our skills that we're using gives us health. So by having this on, when that thing ticks or when you activate it, because you need that instant heal burst, this helps us increase that heal. And we also have a floor, I shouldn't say a floor, we have an area heal on that bar too that we use on the ground. So by doing this, we're actually helping our teammates. If they stay close enough to us, they are getting health back. Over into apparel, the helmet. I'm wearing heavy on the helmet. It's part of the Twiceborn Star set. I went a 5-1-1 ratio, so I did 5 heavy, 1 light, 1 medium. But going back into the helmet here, we have the Twiceborn Star set. I did a multi-effect enchantment, giving us maxing out our magicka, health, and stamina. I did the infuse to increase the armor enchantment effects by 20%, so those are a lot higher than what they would be at base. Twiceborn Star set gives us max health, 1200, max stamina at 1000, and max magicka at 1000. And this is where we allows us to use 2 Mundus Stones or 2 boons at the same time. Over to the chest, we are wearing a heavy on this. Again, Twiceborn Star set, multi-effect enchantments, because we wanted to put multi-effect enchantments on our bigger pieces. And your bigger pieces are, or I should say is, your head, chest, and legs. Your shield counts for it too, but like I said, I just wanted to help boost up my health just a little bit higher, so that one will stay as health. So chest, we also have the infused trait. Shoulders, this is heavy armor, part of the Twiceborn Star set. We went max magicka on this, and divine traits to increase our 2 boons that we have. Like I said before, max magicka, the reason is my race is not magicka based, it is a stam based, so the more magic I have for my abilities, the better I can sustain those abilities. Waist, this is our light armor. We want max magicka on this one also, with Divine's trait on it for the Mundus Stone effect. This one is part of the Willow's Pass. Hands, we went heavy. This is the Twiceborn Star set. We want add max magicka and Divine's traits on them. Legs, this is heavy. We want Twiceborn Star set with this. Multi-effect enchantment again, and with the infused trait. Feet, we want medium armor with this. This is part of the Willow's Pass. We did max magicka here and Divine's traits. Accessories, if you can look at my accessories, none of them are the superior gold color like we have here. You have the purple, and then you have the blue on these ones. So for the necklace, we did Willow's Pass. This we did health recovery, just to increase that recovery up a little bit. That way it's a lot easier to sustain your health out there. And we went with the healthy, maximize our health. Because you're a tank, that's your main role, is to stay alive, and the more health, the more hits you can take, because you're supposed to take on the brute force of things. For the ring, we went with Deathwind. This one we went magicka recovery. Again with the max health, and Deathwind set gives us, adds armor, so it gives us 1,400 extra armor. Because we want to hit that peak at 32k, both physical and spell resistance, to help us negate a lot of damage out in the battles, in our dungeons, for our group. Our second ring, we did a stamina recovery on this. And we went healthy with this one, again part of the Deathwind set. Over into the skills. On our sword and board bar, our first skill we have is Deep Slash. This is to kind of reduce the movement speed of all enemies by 30% for 4 seconds, and it also affects all enemies hit with it, minor main, reducing their damage done by 15% for 12 seconds on us. This helps our group take less damage, helps us take less damage, and things like that. Our next ability, we have Radiant Aura. This applies minor magicka steal to all enemies around you for 24 seconds, causing us and our allies to restore 300 magicka every second when hitting them. This ability is when we are slotting. This is increasing our magicka, health, and stamina recovery by 10%. Our next ability is Radiant War. This is one of our shields. This gives us damage shield to absorb up to almost 13k of damage for 6 seconds. This is scaled off of our max health, so the more health you have, the more damage you're going to negate with this shield. Upon activation, enemies take 3k magicka damage, and for each enemy in the area increases the shield strength by 9%. Next ability we have is Silver Leash. This, we fire a crossbow at an enemy and deals 2,800 physical damage and reduce the movement speed by 30%. Basically, this ability is only to draw those NPCs who are at a distance. So you start the fight out, you take on the melee fighters, and then you have your sorcerers and your archers or your magic dealers that are always at a distance. What you want to do is you want to grab them and bring them to you, so that way it makes it a lot easier for your DPSs to group up and take out majority of the enemies in one spot, instead of trying to pick out off all the little targets out there. Next ability we have is Piercing Armor. This is our main taunt ability. This deals 2,000 physical damage and taunts enemies to attack us for 15 seconds. It also affects enemies with Major Fracture, and Major Breach, reducing their physical and spell resistance by 5k for 15 seconds also. For our ultimate, we did Solar Disturbance. This is to deal 2000 magical damage every second for 10 seconds in an area. It also applies Major Mayhem, reducing enemy damage done by 30%. And this thing sticks with the enemy for 6 seconds if they leave the area. This is a key thing, so you have now 30% reduced damage here, and then all the way over onto your Deep Slash, you also now reduce an additional 15%. So a lot of damage negated from you taking it makes it a lot easier to tank. And allies can activate the synergy, giving them dealing an additional 5k magicka damage and stunning enemies for 2.5 seconds. Over into our two-handed sword bard, we have, right off the bat, we have Luminous Shards. This is a cast ability that you can throw off for a range of 25 meters that deals 3k magicka damage to enemies in the area and an additional 300 magicka damage every 1 second for 10 seconds. Allies can also activate this synergy to restore almost 4k magicka or stamina, whichever maximum is higher, and also restore an additional 2,000, almost 2,000 magicka or stamina, whichever one is lower. So they get the benefits of both. So you help both your stam and your magicka players. Next ability we have is Ritual of Retribution. This is our cleanse that we throw down on the ground. It can cleanse up to 2 harmful effects on ourselves. And then while allies are in the area, they heal for 1600, while enemies take 1600 magicka damage every 2 seconds for 12 seconds. Allies can activate the synergy for purification to heal themselves, cleanse all harmful effects and themselves, and heal for almost 4k health. This is scaled off of our highest offensive stat. So if we would then buff it with our 2H weapon, we now get a lot more health that they heal from themselves with this buff on. Over into our next ability, Channel Focus. This is a rune that we use on ourselves to grant Major Resolve, increase our physical and spell resistance by 5k, and we also recover 200 magicka every 1 second. Because we have a couple magicka abilities, we want to have those stay up. While standing in this rune, we also increase the physical and spell resistance granted by 50%. What that means is, by laying this on the ground, and we're out of it now, our character has 32 spell resistance and 29k physical resistance. When we're totally in it, that's where we get our spell and physical resistance all the way up. So this is something you want to stand into to help you sustain your physical resistance and not take so much damage in your dungeons. Over into our next ability, we have Rally. This is on a two-handed weapon bar. This will give you Major Brutality, increasing weapon damage by 20%, and also gaining Minor Endurance, which increases our stam recovery by 10% for 20 seconds. While this is active, we also heal for 2500 health. When Rally ends, the final heal is increased by 15% for every 1 second, up to a maximum of 300%. So the longer you let this tick, the more health at the end you are going to get. You can cast this again to get that little quick burst of health if you need it out there. Last ability, or second to last ability we have, is Spike Bone Shield. This is our another shield build that we have. This gains a bonus shield to absorb up to 12k, almost 13k damage for 6 seconds, and returns 96% of direct damage absorbed back to the enemies. This helps us do a little bit of damage dealt. This ability is scaled off from max health, so higher the health, the more damage you can absorb. Allies can activate the Bone Wall synergy to grant the allies up to 5 other allies a damage shield equal to 30% of their max health for 6 seconds. So this can also give your allies a shield to help them out in the fight. Last ability that we have is Remembrance. Channeling the graces of God, healing you and nearby allies for 5k, almost 6k health every 1 second for 4 seconds. We also gain a major protection, reducing damage we take by 30% for 10 seconds. So if your group is in trouble and need a lot of health, this is a great ability to cast if you have this ultimate ready, and for a low cost of 116 ultimate, it's a pretty good one to use. So over into our classes, as you guys can see by just scrolling through these, all the passives, I highly recommend you unlock all of them and put them all on. Each of them help out. Just giving you all heads up, in the Hero Storm patch, Sacred Ground is getting a little bit of little changings are going happening in this one. This one right now, it reduces the movement speed of enemies in the area if you are using a cleansing ritual, rune focus, or rite of passage. It reduces the movement speed of enemies by 30%. In the Hero Storm patch update coming in March, it will no longer do that. So anyways, make sure you get all your class passives. Weapons, two-handed, make sure you get all your class passives in this one. Forceful, heavy weapon, bounce, blade, follow-up, and battle rush. One-handed and shield, again, all passive. Fortress, sword and board, deadly bash, deflect bullets, and battlefield mobilities. In the light armor, you want to get the top 3 because the bottom 2 absolutely do nothing since we are not wearing 5 pieces or more of light armor. This is what is required when you are wearing it in order to increase your spell critical rating by 1000. You need to have 5 pieces or more of light. Same with the bottom one. You need 5 pieces or more to increase spell penetration. In the medium armor, you can put on improved sneak if you really want to, but I felt that this was not a necessary skill to put on for this type of build. Agility, again, this is you need 5 pieces of medium armor and you are only having 1, so this does no good to you anyways. So you want to get the bottom, athletics, for movement speed and reduce roll dodge damage, or reduce the roll dodge cost. Helps out when you have to dodge out of danger and stuff like that. Heavy armor, you want to get all these because we are wearing 5 pieces of heavy, and so all these then benefit for us and help us all out. World, if there's anything in the world to get, I would probably highly recommend you do Soul Summon. This allows us to revive 1 hour without spending a soul gem, so you can get someone up without spending a soul gem, and then you gotta wait an hour to do it again unless you have more soul gems and you can get more people up. Fighters Guild, we do have an ability in the Fighters Guild, so we will be wanting some of these passives. We will want Slayer to increase our damage a little bit on our sword and board bar. We want Banish of the Wicked. This is when you are fighting undead, Daedra, and werewolves and killing them, you generate more ultimate. That way we can cast our ultimates a lot faster. Skill Tracker, we want to deal an additional 20% damage to undead, Daedra, and werewolf for our bolt. Granted, you really don't need it since we are just only using that silver bolt to grab enemies to us. So you really don't need it, but I take it anyways because a little damage helps us out. Mage's skill, I just got Persuasive Will. This is just to help along with questing, just to make the quest go a lot faster so you can just persuade and be done with the quest instead of, oh, now you got 5 different side things you got to do in order to finish the main quest of that particular area. Undaunted, we have the Spike Bone Shield. You will want to get your Undaunted to level 10 to get the bottom 2 passives. This helps out a lot by activating ally synergy. We restore 4% of max health, stamina, and magicka. So as you can see, my current bonuses of how much I get when I activate is synergy of an ally. This one increases our max health, stamina, and magicka by 2% per type of armor. Heavy, medium, light. Since we are wearing 3, we get that 6% bonus, and that is why a lot of my health is up so high. I am the Imperial race. I figured the Imperial, to me, was the race to go for doing a Guardian of Light. They seem a very Paladin type of build. So, for the Paladin, you got increased max health by 2,000. You also got increased the max stamina by 2,000. And you have this ability, Red Diamond, which reduces the cost of all your abilities by 3%. To me, this was a big win for me to help sustain all my using my magicka and stamina abilities out there, and also dealing direct damage. We heal ourselves for 300, almost 400, and restore 333 magicka and stamina. This can only occur though once every 5 seconds, so you want to swing, you want to intertwine your light attacks in there. Crafting. This is my craftsman guy, so I got a lot of things under this thing, but basically the only thing you really want to look for is medicinal use. When using potion, results last 30% longer. So basically what that means is when we hit a potion and use a potion, the uptick on it is normally low. But by having this up, now the cooldown on a potion is 47 seconds when the actual game cooldown is only 45 seconds, so you got like 2 seconds overcharge of that, so it's up for 100% of the time you can keep potions coming in. And then I'd say your next one is you want to do provisioning. Since we are using food, I use gourmet. This adds 20 more minutes to the duration of the food I eat, but if you want to need more recovery and need to use a drink, then you would want to use Concierge, because this would add, all the way ranked up, would add 20 minutes to the duration of consumed drinks. Now, over into champion points, where I spent all my champion points. As you can see, I have 10 available and a couple of them, and 9, so I actually haven't used them all, and I am not all the way up in champion points, but yet this build can still rock it. So on the tower, I put 26 points in there. I put it all in Warlord. In the Lover, I put 90 points into it. I put it under Arcanist, increased magicka recovery. And then Mooncalf, increased the stamina recovery. In the Shadow, I put 18 into Tumbling, which reduces the cost of roll dodge, just in case you need to get out of danger. It makes it a lot easier to reduce the cost on that to keep your stam up. Then we put 18 into Shadow Ward to reduce the cost of blocking. You are a tank, you're going to block sometimes. In this build, I don't really block a whole lot. I'm able to actually just keep all my stats rotating in and out without really having to block and without really having to heavy attack things. Over into the blue side of things, we start with the Apprentice. I put 16 points into Bless. This is increase our healing done by 4%. Like I said, sometimes healers in your group need a little extra help, and this is also affects our rally, so this increases how much health we get back from our rally. And like I said, we have an area effect one that increases health that our allies get, so you will want that. We have 13 points into Elfborn, increase critical damage and critical heals by magicka abilities. We do have one of them that is a magicka ability that can crit heal, and that helps the healers out a little bit if you can crit that area effect. Elemental Expert, increase our flame, frost, shock, and magicka damage done. We do have a little bit of that, so we will want that in there. Spell Erosion. This increases our spell penetration, just in case we hit them with... This is for our luminous shards when we throw it up in the air. That way we do more damage to enemies. Over into the Astronaut, we have 14 points into Physical Weapon Expert. This increases our light, heavy, one-handed swords, shields, whatever. Pretty much anything that has stamina-based physical weapons. And also werewolf form, which we ain't a werewolf, so that don't matter to us. We have 12 points into Master of Arms, increase the damage done with direct damage attacks. We have 14 points into Staff Expert. This was based off of my Cleric build, so again, like I said, we don't really need the 14 points into this one. We can use the 14 points somewhere else if we really need to. Traumatage, we have 12 points into that. This is increase the direct damage done with damage over time effects. We have one ability that kind of does that, so that helps out that ability. We have 13 points into Precision Strikes, increase our critical damage and critical heal by stamina. We do have that rally, so that will be our critical heal for stam. We have Piercing, 13 points in that, increase the physical penetration. That helps out because we do have several stamina-based abilities that will need to have physical penetration. 16 points into Mighty, increasing our physical poison and disease damage done to enemies. Now over into the red tree, we start off with the Steed. I have 17 points into Ironclad. This reduces damage taken against direct damage attacks by 7%. We have 23 points into Spell Shield, increasing our spell resistance. Over into the next one, we have in the Lady, we have 15 points into Hardy, reduced damage taken from physical, poison, and disease damage. We have 17 points into Elemental Defender, reduced damage taken from flame, frost, shock, and magic damage. And then we have 16 points into Thick Skin, reducing our damage taken from damage over time effects. Last but not least, we have in the Lord, we have 20 points into Bastion. This increases the effectiveness of our damage shields. We have 19 points into Quick Recovery. This increases our healing received. And 25 points into Heavy Armor Focus, increasing our physical resistance while wearing 5 or more pieces of heavy armor. Other than that, that is it for the build of Guardian of Light. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope I see you the next one in either YouTube or Mixer.